Hello everyone, welcome to my transition story titled Redefining Who I Am, from stay-at-home parent to full-time student. This was a self-imposed transition as I attempted to redefine my identity beyond motherhood and create a professional identity, which allowed me to practice my long-standing passion for social justice. The transition process is still ongoing and has been humbling as I come to terms with being a mature student in a sea of young people. It has challenged my relationship with my children and spouse, validated my lived experience as a mother, made me realize I am experienced but also greatly inexperienced in social work, pushed me to stop feeling sorry for myself, and helped reintroduce me to the art of learning. My role as a stay-at-home parent to multiple children has spanned over almost 2 decades. That is a long time in terms of Western society, so let me explain. I'm a first-generation immigrant Canadian who grew up in a traditional South Asian Muslim family. As the eldest daughter, I was required to follow tradition, obtain some level of education, and start my own nuclear family, which I did at the age of 23. I raised my children, I worked sporadically whenever I was able to secure childcare, and I continued my post-secondary education through distance and online studies. After finishing my degree, I attempted to find employment and quickly realized that my copious amount of parenting experience and lack of work experience did not make me a good hire. As a result, I worked 2 part-time jobs at minimum wage. Then COVID hit, and like many people, I reevaluated my life and decided I need to redefine who I was. Yes, I am a parent, but I wanted something outside the confines of the home. I decided to enroll in McEwen's social work program as it complemented my various caregiving, community engagement, and social justice skills that I learned through my childhood and adulthood. Being a mature student has been a constant reminder that I am much older than my peers in the social work program. In fact, most individuals my age are well established in their careers with a master's degree or even PhD. On a couple of occasions, I have been mistaken for being in a teaching role, and then I am met with looks of curiosity and shock when I tell them that I am in fact a student. My older age is also reflected in my demeanor in the classroom, how I handle group work, my lack of tech savviness, and my slower pace of absorbing class material. These experiences, coupled with being in a classroom with students close to the age of my eldest child, make me question my life decisions. I'm not resentful, but sometimes I wonder, what if I had not followed tradition and had prioritized myself? But such thoughts are not fair to the sacrifice and effort I put into raising my children, because that life was also built on experience and knowledge, not from an institution or accompanied by a degree, but from life itself. Prior to enrolling in full-time studies, I was responsible for the majority of caregiving, childcare, and household tasks. My spouse worked to run the house financially, and I worked inside the home. Now that I am a student, these tasks are divided in a more egalitarian way, encouraging my kids and spouse to be self-sufficient and participate fairly in the running of the household. It was not an easy transition for them after being served for so long, and it is still a work in progress. This reality of the sheer amount of housework and caregiving tasks that I took on has emphasized to everyone how much I did as a stay-at-home parent. Despite this recent division of labor, I am still predominantly responsible for most of the work, and at times I feel overwhelmed and wonder if I have the capacity to finish this degree while being a parent. But those doubts take a back seat when I realize some students are taking full-time studies and working full-time. Perspective is everything, and so the sky is not falling. We are all actually just surviving our individual storms. I chose social work because a lot of my life was spent doing just that, social work, from translating for my parents to watching my father help settle immigrant families to running charity drives with my faith group and donating books and food to students in high-needs neighborhoods. I thought I knew a lot about disparities, but as I interacted with other students in the program, I realized I lack a lot of knowledge about other areas of social work, such as addictions, high-risk youth, and indigenous history. This was humbling and made me feel incompetent because there is a large demographic I am not familiar with, and to be a competent social worker, that deficit has to be addressed by me. I really prepped for this transition in every way a parent could, but this transition showed me that despite ample preparation, things can go awry. I had placed my youngest in the daycare at McEwen, but despite several attempts, she never adjusted. As a result, I had to ask my parents for childcare help. I felt like I went several steps back when I removed my child from daycare. I had wanted to be independent and not be a burden on my parents. But my child's emotional distress while in daycare made me realize that making this transition successful did not mean that I ignored the well-being of my children. I had to swallow my pride. Yes, I would be dependent on my parents for help, but my child feels emotionally and physically safe now. My transition will hopefully conclude after the winter term in 2025, where I hope to walk out with a bachelor's in social work degree. This ongoing transition has given me a lot to reflect on, from life choices about prioritizing family over academic and career advancement, to thoughts about aging, feelings of incompetence, fears of uncertainty, and realizing I do not have it that bad. What I have learned is that I cannot shame myself for my past choices as they were embedded in context. I cannot compare myself to those younger than me because we all grew up in different realities. I cannot control things to make this a perfect transition because things will happen and I will have to deal with them. The greatest thing about this transition is that I have learned to enjoy learning. As a child, I was always confused and struggled at school. Now, as a mature student, I have learned time management and developed better studying habits. So perhaps this transition came at the right time. I may be older, I may lack work experience, I may have family commitments that take precedence, and yet going back to school this time around is a transition and struggle that I enjoy.